first saved message.
George! Black Mirror, Season 4, Episode 1. What else could be said about such a stellar, get it, episode? I don't really have much else to say. Just probably going to be a really blasé episode where we talk about how neat that show is. However, I have this one thought. Is Black Mirror the visual answer to everything I critique Bright with? Love ya.
Busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies do sci-fi. Busy daddies do sci-fi.
Good morning.
Rip dip doo doo.
Yeah?
I don't know.
You got nothing. What is
Oh,
that?
I got that. I don't know what that was. That was like a sort of an acapella type thing. You know? It's my first love.
Rip Dip Acapella?
Acapella. Rocka what?
I said
Rockazilla?
Rip Dip Acapella.
Rip tip acapella. Ripper. Ocker. Rip.
Something tells me
Had a lot of ice cream, man.
that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm almost 2 in the zone.
Yeah, no, I flew right past the zone. And
Always missing the mark.
I'm in a dark place right now. All right.
Would you say maybe it's a dark raspberry and chocolate place?
I'm in a town filled with secrets. And I don't want to come out right now. We are
not. Yet.
okay.
Say some shit,
Jumping
George.
the gun.
Do your thing, man.
Man, wow.
Come
Kevin,
on.
Getting all freaking aggro here.
Where have
'Cause
we
we're-
been? What have we been doing? Dude, the mail from that Bright episode.
Yeah,
I don't know why they
overflowing.
called you racist.
Well,
I was sick.
I think, yeah. I think my record speaks for.
I thought they all knew that was the syphilis
Oh,
talking.
they? Nice, Kevin.
Those people.
No.
Who wrote the letters
Who
and the
wrote the
emails?
Them, the highly literate fans of our show.
They live.
They live. Obey. One Kenobi. Yeah, we got taken to task for that one. Mostly because I had absolutely no reason for liking it, and still don't. You know. And what have we been doing? We've been just living our lives, man. It's a new year.
I know.
2018.
Yeah.
Holy hell! It is a science fiction.
First part of January has been great.
Yeah, that's been fantastic.
Yeah.
It's a science fiction year right now. This is a year where if you were watching a science fiction movie in the 90s, they'd be talking about things going on in 2018. And
What do you mean?
well, I mean that like this was a far off year at one point. This was like in the 60s, it was like in year 2000, and in the 90s it was like Los Angeles 2025. And that's not that far away right now. You know, I don't think we're going to have flying cars.
It's not. No.
Probably not. I don't even think I'm going to have a new car.
You might not. That
Might
Ford
not.
Pinto.
She's a classic.
They went from Pintos to Fiestas, wherein you have beans at parties.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
Yeah, that's what Kevin does.
Yeah, just makes connections.
Makes those little strings dance. Anyway. Yeah, feel good.
Strings dance?
Strings that connect things.
Oh!
The strings that connect things, you make them dance.
Yeah. Oh, we're fucked.
I got such indigestion
so
right now. Just like,
Your heart, you can't leave either.
can't leave.
Vic has locked that door. He said, you got to crank this one out
like-
before you guys move
He
on.
popped in here before. He spit the tip of his cigar right in my face.
He said, "That's for the orc,
He
you
said-
shit breath."
Said that's for that shitty orc movie, and he told us to get to work on the next Netflix thing that came out. So that's what we're doing here. He pushed some ice cream under the door, and we've been chewing our way through that because we're tired. We got a lot of stuff to do. Mm-hmm. And
Including a "Yay, we liked it" episode.
yeah. Every once in a while,
You have to wake up, walk into that bathroom,
when the stars align,
take a look at yourself
and
in a. Well, it's dark in the bathroom.
it's dark. Yeah.
So
You don't have to look at yourself. I have a nightlight in mine, though,
so it's
you got kids.
not.
So,
George,
yeah.
I'm giving you a segue here, buddy.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?
No? So if you got up in the middle of the night and it was dark,
Dark.
and you walked into your bathroom,
I'd
and then
see
took
a-
a hard look at yourself,
See a dark toilet.
you...
Dark toilet.
Yeah.
That's
When
good,
you see
man.
a still wet
That's good.
tub.
That's good. Really good. Oh, Black Mirror!
Oh,
Black Mirror!
God! Gosh! Holy shit!
Oh, man.
Yeah,
My
you see,
my senses are dulled.
you now see or don't see where I was leading you.
Is there a crack in the mirror? I don't know. Mm-hmm. There's a crack in all mirrors, apparently.
Our beloved Black Mirror is back, ladies and gentlemen.
It's so good. It is.
It's amazingly good.
It's
It's so
fantastic.
good I don't want to talk about it.
It's
I mean,
fantastic.
it doesn't make sense.
It's not all good. It hasn't been good across the board. Like, there's certainly been episodes that would have made me go like, well, that was remarkably easy, you know? The let's turn these refugees into monsters episode. Hell, even the first episode where the prime minister screws a pig is like,
That was risky.
that was not even risky. It was just not great, you know? So this show has not been across the board. Wait a minute.
Who are we?
Who are you? Who am I?
I don't know. Who are you?
I'm George.
I'm Kevin.
We are bleak denizens, data slaving fanboy.
Bleak denizens of data slaving
I forgot the
Flanboy.
of.
Flanboy. Flanboy.
Welcome.
Flanboy.
the Mexican superhero Flanboy.
Does he work with El Gigolo and El Miraculo?
Fighting to make the world a safer place. Here he comes in his Ford Fiesta.
That's you. That's your alter ego.
Mine's
isn't
my
it?
alter ego. I'm Flanboy.
Mm-hmm.
I do like flan. Let's get some flan
Yeah.
right now.
You need
Anyway,
it.
Yeah, I need it big time.
Oh, my liver's chugging through that
So,
pint of ice cream.
Oh,
I just
easily,
had.
man.
Yeah.
So season 4 of Black Mirror.
And let's tell them what we're going to do here.
Well, I was just about to.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, go.
All right.
I bet you're not.
We might be talking about different
I don't
things.
think we are.
We are going to be talking about the first.
Yeah!
All right, is that?
Yeah!
Oh, you're okay.
Yeah, the look on his face.
Ooh.
God, he was so
I
scared
was
he was
really
going to get
scared.
that wrong.
Really scared. Well, Vic's outside with the other half of this pint of ice cream. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Shut up, just shut up. Just keep going.
Okay, just keep going.
talking,
Keep going.
talking.
Keep going. Keep going. All right, he went away. He went away. All right, so we are going to be talking about just the first episode of season 4 of Black Mirror. It's kind of been it's been everywhere. The moment that production stills got released from the new season of Black Mirror, and everybody couldn't help but realize that, like, wow, this looks a lot like classic series Star Trek. The first photo that came out was like the crew assembled on the bridge. So Black Mirror was like, yeah, that's right, we're doing an homage to Star Trek. You know?
Episode's called USS Callister.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And
That's an homage to ship names.
yes, it is. But this episode begins with an appropriately like TV grainy, very William Shatner-esque, beautiful hair, kind of big physique captain taking the bridge, and the couple minutes of a final episode of Star Trek unrolls in front of us, and And you kind of don't know what the heck you're in for. But then we're delivered to an entirely new venue, as we see that the captain is now got glasses and he's schlubby. He's outside of the environment that we were introduced him in, and he is a chief technical officer for an immersive virtual reality online multiplayer game
Called Infinity.
The name of the company is Callister, and they have produced a revolutionary gaming environment, again called Infinity. And this guy is not respected by his peers and his coworkers. He is kind of at the whims of he's shy, he's clumsy, he's at the whims of everybody. He's sort of the mercy of the people mocking him in the office, and his boss, who he started the company with, seems to just take advantage of him. Now the thing is, we've seen all these people before in the Star Trek universe that he created.
Yes.
And they were all treating him like the captain. They engage in a singing of "For He's a Jolly Good Fellow," when he,
So it's a little off.
It's a little
right?
off, and we kind of figure out what's going on, especially considering that we've been introduced to the gaming environment, and eventually it's confirmed he is recreating these people online. So we're sort of like, oh, cool. So it's like a holodeck on Star Trek or something. He's just exercising some of his demons via this online multiplayer game. He's creating reproductions of his boss, the hot coworker, the good-looking guy at work, and he's sort of just like taking out some steam, letting off some steam by being. It's a fantasy world. That's all he's doing. He's being the boss. He's being the captain. So I'm watching this and I'm enjoying it, but already I've kind of written where this is going to go, and then I'm for the first of several times I'm proven completely wrong because it takes an entirely different path. And this is kind of the brilliance of Black Mirror. It keeps you on your toes. It really forces you to think in a unique way. What happens?
I don't know. I didn't watch it.
What?
Well, hey! I'm lying.
I
Dude.
know you
watched
are.
it. I mean, a lot happens. But see, what happens when we talk about Black Mirror is we have done a whole season in an episode.
Yeah.
And we synopsify, usually say it's coolify or have some critiques, and then we move onify.
Yeah. And then we end up boringify.
George doesn't know this yet, but I don't even know if we're going to do the rest of the Black Mirror series on this show.
I would be fine with that.
We don't know.
I have, for the
We'll see.
record, I have seen the rest of the Black Mirror.
Jesus!
Yeah.
I know people who watch them all in one sitting.
Wow. I cranked through them. I mean,
yeah.
took me a couple nights.
Yeah.
But, no.
Bong rips, whiskey, bro.
None of that stuff.
No.
No,
Oh, no,
just,
not for you.
No.
You're a horrible lightweight. You'd
Yeah,
never
terrible.
do that.
I'd
Yeah.
never make it through that.
Yeah.
Um,
Who you calling a lightweight, bro?
no one,
Who
man.
you calling
No
a
one. The
lightweight,
captain
bro?
of this ship, he's a lightweight.
So, cool stuff happens.
It does.
We'll probably end up spoiling this,
Sure
but
we
you know
will.
that because you're not going to listen to this unless you know what these things are about, or you're someone who's going to get it spoiled because you enjoyed Bright.
There we go.
But hey, you like that?
That's it.
Did we just
There we-
lose the Bright
We
listeners?
lost the bright listeners.
Yeah.
Who?
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably lost them last round anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But
No, you tried to keep them.
I was trying so hard.
Tried so hard.
We needed
to
that.
just
We needed
say
that
we
50,
needed
53%.
I know. 18 to 49. That is our demo.
Quality demo.
I am right in the middle of that demo reading science fiction and fantasy right now to this day.
Yeah.
I made a horrible mistake.
Terrible. We're terrible people. Speaking of terrible people,
Speaking of terrible people,
captain of this ship.
captain of the ship, he knows how to do some tech and some coding.
Yeah.
He's built a little something that the rest of the people don't really know he's got.
And there is one of the fucking brilliant things about this episode because, okay, not only is this guy creating a little kingdom that he can go play in, these characters are awake and aware even when he is not online playing the game. He's basically created digital clones of them and trapped them in this world.
Imprison them.
And we're treated to this in like a really well done awakening scene by the new girl in the office that he's got a crush on, and we see this guy go from, our emotional reactions to him are like, oh, this poor guy can't catch a break, to
stealing the lid of someone's coffee cup, taking it home.
Fucking much. And then, oh, he's a prick.
And then one of the really genius things is that I became attached and empathized or sympathized with the clones. I was not able to write them off as digital mess.
No, me
They
either.
were too aware. And this dude had basically kidnapped them.
And mutilated them in a
And
way.
fucks with them, yeah.
They have no genitals.
They're like Barbie dolls.
Because this Star Trek like series, which is called Space Fleet in this universe, and it takes place in what they call a wholesome universe.
Yeah.
So nobody has there's no penises, no vaginas.
And the people stuck in there are like, we can't even fuck each other out of boredom.
We can't even shit.
Yeah,
I love that
can't even
one
shit.
girl
I
says,
really
I
wanna
can't
shit."
even shit. I really want to shit. Just brilliant stuff. As silly as it sounds to say, like hearing the line, a woman say, I miss taking a good shit. It's brilliant. It's brilliant in the way that it's presented, you know?
Because it's tightening up as you watch it.
Yeah, you just did that. I was not gonna.
Did you see my face? Did you see my face?
It's
just be like
tightening up. So you do your best William Shatner impression. Oh God, it's just
God.
tightening up, Captain.
The plot is tightening.
The plot
up.
is tightening up.
So there are things we all know from watching movies, and there are stories we can write from watching them. And there's things that propel us along as we watch and make us think, and there's things that make the mind close. What Black Mirror, I can't say consistently does. Usually, every once in a while, we're able to go, I figured it out. When did you know such and such was going to happen?
Right.
So this did have its moment. That new hire is someone who's been hired to offset that chief technical dude's job, and she knows code and actually loves this dude's code. And so I knew we were going to be treated to an escape. Now, watching Black Mirror, I was not guaranteed, nor did I rule out the fact that this would be complete failure and bleak denizens, data enslaved by a fanboy.
More often than not, that seems to be where Black Mirror lives,
But-
is in that, like, not only dystopian, but, like, almost hopeful.
Well, and here's what I wanted to point out. What happened is this Black Mirror episode, for me, took me up to story and entertainment and downplayed what Black Mirror is typically known for, which are the technological tips of the hat.
Absolutely.
So you're watching these people be in this infinity game, and you're not even registering that an infinity game has been invented, which might come soon, which is basically something like an earbud that you put on your temple, you knock out, your eyes frost over, and this is how you live your time. Similar, I now think of as the virtual reality worlds that people immerse themselves in, and things like Ready Player One.
Certainly.
Or,
Yeah.
but that sick way where, like, the Black Mirror always seems to make it a little gross.
Yeah.
Whether it's an ear thing that had to be cut and surgically added, or eye plants, there's just something a little icky, and this makes you cataract over and look really dead and
And
weird.
the thing was, those things are ever present throughout Black Mirror. Yeah, like, and in this episode, we did have, again, like the little thing you put on your forehead, the eyes glazing over, those typical Black Mirror elements of, like, the tweak in technology, so that, you know, when he orders the pizza, his door. Things are just cool enough where you're like, oh, okay, cool, not too distant future. But we didn't dwell on them. They weren't like the driving point of this story. Like, the story wasn't about the technology. It was about the fucking characters.
And I thought it was an inversion.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
And so you were getting punched. You were getting subconsciously punched by the Black Mirror thing while watching an escape story, which at that point didn't necessarily need to rely on much. You needed to have someone who knew some code with a bunch of crafty folks to take a risk
you needed
with their lives.
The classic risk, the classic we need to get this.
The time crunch, and so it worked. It worked its way in a different. It worked through in a different way, and I thought that was really thoughtful. It came in at an hour and 15 minutes, and I gotta say that I thought of the movie Bright, which I had also recently watched, and I'm saying, dude, there are people that are out there still kicking ass, and I don't think it's a crime to put these things in their place, to rate what's being put out in the same year.
Right. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, because for this to do in an hour and 15 minutes,
it was the Anti-Bright.
It was the Anti-Bright.
Yes.
Yeah, which is, I think, the sequel to Bright, Anti-Bright. But for this to do in an hour and 15 minutes,
Bright.
what it did, just blight.
Light.
Oh man. We had characters in which we're introduced to them, and then all of a sudden there's a reversal. When we're introduced to the boss, I can't stand him. I can't stand the CEO of that company. He's slimy.
He's a prick.
And he's the same guy in game. Like, it's the same characteristics. It's the same thing. Yet I felt for him. I really sympathized with him. And then we're treated to like a kind of fucking beautiful reasoning behind some of his carefree motivations. Why he's the guy in the game who just gets drunk all the time.
Yeah. And there's great humor in there.
There's really good humor
as the
in
newcomer to the DNA enslaved virtual reality world. Shows in, they all kind of go, let her fight, she's got to figure this out. But there's a comedy. There was funny stuff going in here at the same time, which was really cool. For instance, just things like these people who were always in there when the chief technological dude gets a pizza to come to his house. In the middle of his script playing his thing, he goes, pause game.
Yeah.
Boom. And he freezes with his little communicator in his hand, and they all break character like a director said stop, and they're like, Jesus Christ. And they go yell up at the bad guy. They're like, hey, man, how's it going, dude? And then in this really cool way, one of these creatures that's attacking, the guy goes, hey, Melanie, and he starts talking to her, and it turns out this woman who was in accounting has crossed this guy the wrong way and has been turned into a Star Troopers-esque 40-eyed beast thing. And
fantastic.
And it even sits down like a comic dog and goes like, okay, now I'm fucking waiting on this jackass, because they're captured by a completely demonic fucking idiot. They can't stand him.
Who's a total fucking nerd, obsessed with this Star Trek-like show. I mean, nerd in the best possible way. Like, down to he will not kill a guy because who's begging for it. I love the scene where the douchebag from The Office, who's the bad guy, who looks just like Khan from the original series, is wounded, and he's like, I've been a good enemy. Kill me. Because if he kills him, he gets removed from this game.
Yeah.
He gets removed. And he says, that's against Space Fleet regulations. He's following all this to the letter, and it reminds me of me if I were playing a Star Trek Online massive multiplayer type thing. I would be the penultimate. This is what being a Starfleet officer is. It's really, really well done, and it's a beautiful love letter to Star Trek, the original series, while also being so much of its own thing, which kind of reminded me of the Orville. I'm watching this and I'm going, this is so much better than what that show is trying to do, you know? And I don't mean to get too much into just like comparing what are essentially apples and, you know, shitty, badly written apples. But that it was just so fresh and so creative, and again.
Well, I had to wonder if this writer, Charlie Brooker,
Brooker or Booker, I can't
something like that, if he was thinking of Seth MacFarlane when he wrote this.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it says. Once again, folks, you've seen us say, hey, that was just entertainment. But I mean, come on now, man.
Hour and 15 minutes.
When does it get?
And this provided me with more solid laughs than character-driven laughs, not just hokey jokes. You know, I was so into the new girl in the office. I loved the way it ends with her in the captain's seat, and just the disembodied voice of some player, you know, calling himself the King of Space.
Yeah.
So fucking well done.
Well, the detailed listener, these guys have to make an escape, and in the real world, it's Christmas Eve, and they're updating the Infinity for all the people who use Infinity. And in the game, this update manifests as a wormhole, and the captives realize they can make a run for it.
Yeah.
And they do. We have a systems malfunction on the ship, and it needs to be fixed. And one of the leads says, I'll go fix it. And they go, but you'll be burned.
Yeah.
And you'll be burned forever until this ends. Meaning, you're not just going to burn up and die. You're going to burn until we reboot, make it into the wormhole, or get caught by this guy again. And a little detail that was brought up by someone I worked with today was these folks do make it to the wormhole. They kibosh our lead character who gets stuck.
Yeah.
And the guy who is burning in the engine does not come back through. So is he stuck in an engine in the reboot?
He does come back through.
Dalton.
Yeah.
Where's he come back? He's not on the bridge.
Yeah, he comes back at the end. The doors open up, and him and the African American girl.
Oh, they do.
Yeah. They're
Never
both like,
mind.
hey, we're all magically here.
They must have got up and taken a pee. I was like, oh yeah, he didn't. Yeah.
No, he didn't.
I knew you'd know.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm here for,
yeah,
man.
I can tell.
And then he is the captain is stuck in slowly deleting space around him, and we're left with a vague ending about whether or not that's just his life from now. I mean, I really didn't care.
He died. He's dead.
We don't know that.
No. Listen. This is how this went. Because he was in the game, and his game didn't reboot. He's left screaming exit game, exit game. And this has worked every time we've seen it for the last hour and 14 minutes.
Yeah.
And it does not work, and he's stuck in his game.
And he's stuck in his home.
And so he's in his chair with that earbud on his temple, with his eyes glassed over. It's Christmas Eve. Everyone's on 10 days of vacation, and he can't get out of the game. And they're showing a little drool come out.
All right.
It was his death sentence.
See, that was it. It was a little ambiguous. It wasn't ambiguous. I think what it was I just didn't care. Like, it was so. I was like, all right, so he might die, or someone might knock on his door and be like, where the fuck you been? Pull that thing off his head, and he comes out of it, which is, I was more like, yeah, he's probably going to die there, but I didn't care, and I think that's a success of the story, is that I really didn't need this guy to die, but I didn't need him to not die.
Well, I did
mean?
need him to die.
You did.
And so look, man, this DNA that he's stolen, he keeps in a fridge, a little college dorm fridge by his computer. And at one point, because Infinity's connected to the internet, the slaves, the captives, get a message out to one of the real people in there. This sets into play the
Tommy? Did that? Are you talking about
no
the lollipop?
Well, yes.
All right, okay.
So
Sorry.
all their DNA is in this fridge. But one boy, the son of the owner of the company, was left a lollipop in the office, and his DNA was put into the game. And in classic sci-fi peril, he does what they call a airlocked. They airlock him.
They airlocked the little
And they
kid,
put the
man.
kid in there. The bad guy puts the kid in the airlock and punches the door.
That got me, man.
And it did not get me so much.
It got me being a father. Like
I
it
know
kinda,
an airlock. So
yeah, I think a lot of that was that actor who was playing Dalton. I really like him. He was in Westworld, and he was fantastic.
but listener, you know you want to get out of this game, but there's no fucking point in getting out of this game if that dude still has your DNA. So they go in and they swipe the fridge. They order a pizza. They spoondoggle him, and they get the DNA out of the guy's fridge. Great. They make it to the wormhole. Great. If this guy did not die, they weren't going to be able to prove anything to the police. They couldn't even chance going back to their office, let alone wondering if anything in their office might have DNA in again, because this dude would enslave them again, especially since he's figured out that they've escaped.
But they are not. They are not physically there. That's the thing. Is they're really in the real world with him.
Yes.
You know, so it's weird because it plays with the idea of what this escape means. Because they were resigned to just dying. Like, they thought they were going to be wiped out completely.
Because it's so horrible being immortal in
Yes.
a massive dictator's game. Like, the stakes, though they were clones in the ether...
Mm-hmm. Still identity. It's still, like, they were still them. You know?
Yeah, because you didn't know that you were... You knew you were real, but you were still as real as you were, but captive.
So it's funny because it made me think, like,
he had to, like, I thought they would have to kill him.
See,
I thought they would have to kill him.
Because I was sort of like, so I am stuck in this video game. My consciousness is in this video game. But my consciousness is also walking around in the real world, doing real world things. Would my consciousness in the video game mind if another copy of my consciousness was in the video game? Would I mind that my consciousness was trapped in a video game doing these things? Like, it brought in, and this is, again, fucking testament to this episode, because it brought these questions up in me. And I was sort of like, well, would they care if he just recloned all these guys? Because they're free.
Well, if the rules of this were, yes, you'd care. This was not, I'm in a video game. This is everything I know about my consciousness.
But not if there's more than one of them. This is that's what I'm saying.
I don't understand.
It's like, say this group of consciousness, this entire crew here, they escape. He reclones them. That's separate. That's a separate existence, a separate entity. That's a separate being. This other crew's out there, shooting around the galaxy in this massive online multiplayer game, and he decides, you know what, I'm just going to recopy them all again. So there's now a separate creation. So why would you care? And but I get the idea. I get that he had to die because, like,
I know you get the idea. Yeah. Why would you care? I don't think if you didn't make it into the wormhole, he didn't need to recreate you.
Yeah.
So, but you're saying they made it through the wormhole. He comes back to the office. He's not dead. He reclones everyone and puts them back in. Do the clones even know that there was a group that escaped?
Exactly. Yeah.
Or not? I still think no. I mean, we're dealing with digital human rights.
Right. Yeah. And it's
and you would know
cool.
that the guy fucking got you. After you figured, the same thing would happen. You wouldn't know there was others around. You'd know that you were from the real world. You know you're jerk.
You'd know
You'd start to put this shit together.
It gets into, like, all these fucking cool spots of, like, is, like, did those beings have souls? Like, it's perfectly awesome Star Trek stuff. Like, it brings in all those questions of just, like, humanity and what's really out there and stuff, and it manages to do that without even attempting to do so. This is a hell of a start for the 4th season of Black Mirror, and I'm not going to say anything about what the rest of the season was like.
Yeah.
It's of course super worth the ride, and man, that's it.
That's all you're gonna say. Yeah. Well, don't say. Yeah.
I really want to say some stuff.
Don't
right
say
now.
anything, you asshole. You wouldn't want to spoil it.
No. I can talk about the last episode, though, right?
I wonder how many people. What last episode?
Of Black Mirror.
Our last episode.
Oh.
So Black Mirror is the answer to the whole thing I was talking about in the Bright episode.
Yeah, it's doing it right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then so George, you don't have to go out just because they make a dragon float by doesn't mean you have to like it, buddy.
And there's a broad spectrum of though, Kevin. It's not as black and white. It's not like Mr. A.
Mr. A?
Yeah. Steve Ditko.
Don't get it.
So Steve Ditko created Spider-Man. All right.
Okay.
Steve Ditko is
Here we go, folks.
Big Ayn Randian guy, pretty conservative, and he created a character named Mr. A.
Ayn Randian.
Yeah. Mr. A believes in black and white completely. You are either good or you are bad. So he was a superhero, and he would punish the people who not only were evil, but the ones who were also ambiguously good. So if you were not completely on the white side, the light side, the good side, you were bad as far as he was concerned. And I only bring that up to say... Nothing.
You only got you said that to just let us know.
Mr. A.
Mr. A-hole.
Mr. A-hole over
Mr.
here.
A-hole. I'm still reading The Anubis Gates by Tim Powers.
Mr. Anubis.
It's great. This one is an 80s book I found at a Half Price Books in Houston, Texas. I don't know everything. I didn't know also that this book is loved by a group of people. It's a sci-fi book. There's a time travel aspect to it. There's some ancient Egyptians trying to bust something out, and a guy gets stuck in the early 1800s in London. And there are some nuances about that, like beggar guilds and werewolf men and shape-shifting body stuff, and very cool. I highly recommend it. Listener, if you want to start reading that would be cool. We'll never talk about it on this podcast. Actually, George, you might.
I might. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
I just bought it on Audible, so we you can email us at bddsci-fi@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Instagram at bddsci-fi. Few things coming up. I've been told that I need to check out this Netflix series Dark. Time travel. Apparently kind of heady, which I like. I like heady.
Ooh, a dragon.
We just had to... Thank you. There we go. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Well, dragons are smart. Remember I was trying to talk about that last episode and you shut me down.
No, we didn't. Yeah, because we didn't know.
Cunning. Magic hypnotizing words.
Is that from...
Have you got that far in the Wizardiversity?
I don't think so.
Oh, man. You were so close. You were so close.
Yeah, well... What are you going to do?
Listen to it?
Listen to it, yeah, probably. Well, not now.
Don't
I've got Gates of Anubis.
You got Gates of Anubis?
Is that the name of the fucking book? No.
No, you got the Anubis Gates.
The Anubis
Gates of Anubis.
Gates
you got
of
enlarged
Anubis.
prostate.
Oh, man, I got I got the wrong book.
That's early in BDDSF history.
Mine's a Daniel
We all read a
Steele
book
novel.
called 13 by Richard K. Morgan.
I read 50 pages of it.
But what you bought a a YA book called 13, right?
13, yeah.
Guys, I'm not sure
It was also
all this person's done is comb their hair in a mirror. Is that the book you're reading?
it's about being a fucking 13-year-old. I was like, Kevin's into some weird shit, man. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
All right.
It's been a long night.
Long night.
Good night, nurse.
Night, nurse.